yes, I do remember you as Mrs. Potiphar and Joseph in the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat of Many Colors of the Wind. Yes, you look stunning. Yes, I know you did your own makeup. You always do your own makeup. Well, Joan, I'm going to have to let you go. It's time for my show and the audience is here. Well, no, not here in my abode, although I could probably fit the tens of people that are watching this here, but we're still practicing social distancing, so we'd have to be 6 feet apart. We'd have to all be in separate rooms. We can't all live in mansions like yourself. All right, Joan, I'm going to... Joan, no, it's... Joan... Oh, never mind. Sometimes that woman can be so needy. I mean, I can't tell you the amount of times that I've had to watch that Joseph show, and there's only so many times you can watch Donny Osmond try to be warm and sincere. You know, for a member of the LSD church, I would think he would be a little bit more compassionate and empathic. Oh, it's the LDS church. What does that stand for? The Church of Jesus Christ and Latter-day Saints? Anyway, welcome to Quarantini, Cocktails and Song with Mr. Drag. I'm your host, Mr. Drag. You know, audience, what I've been really missing during this quarantine period? Cocktails. You know, I have a fully stocked bar, so I'm not going to run dry anytime soon, but what I mean is cocktails outside of the home. You know, there's only so many times I can go sit out on my lanai and pretend I'm at a Paris cafe. It's all well and good until Lydia McInerney drives by in her pickup truck and yells howdy out the window. Kind of ruins the fantasy, doesn't it? But I miss those cocktail bars and lounges, you know, sitting in a plush banquette with a handsome waiter refilling me. And listening to a sea-level musician plunk a little tune out on a piano or strum it out on a guitar while singing into a microphone. I remember the days when you could still smoke inside. Sometimes it would be so smoky you couldn't even see the performer. I mean, once it was so smoky that I didn't even realize it was Judy Garland up on stage. I thought someone had brought in their trained seal. It was her later years. Anyway, one night I was meeting my good friend Elizabeth Short outside of the Frolic Room in Los Angeles. And she came walking up and she looked stunning, you know, it was beautiful. She was wearing a flower in her hair. I believe it was a black dahlia. Anyway, we went inside to go hear Billie Holiday croak out a few numbers. I used to say to Billie all the time, could you please sing something upbeat so I can snap my fingers to? And she would look me right in the eye, the good eye, not the lazy eye. And she would say to me, Mr. Drag, you're 3 martinis in. I don't even think you could find your fingers to snap. Fair play, Miss Holiday. Fair play. Anyway, it was so smoky in there that it was halfway through the night before I even realized that Elizabeth was gone. It was like someone came and swept her away. Well, that was the last time that I saw her. I mean, I had left the next day to go on a world tour with my sister's cat and Dee Dee. The bars and lounges we found ourselves in on that tour. I bet you could still find Cat on the floor of one of those bars to this day. Cheers! You know, I'm not ashamed to say, dear audience, that has gotten me feeling a bit nostalgic, so I think I'll put on a record. Now, for you youth out there, a record was the predecessor for the 8-track, and the 8-track was the predecessor for the cassette tape, and the cassette tape was the predecessor for the CD, and the CD was the predecessor for the music that's in the air that just comes out on your device. Anyway, this is one of my favorite albums, Gilby's Gin and Vodka Rock Opera Hits. Now, not only does it have wonderful choral and instrumental interpretations of rock opera songs, but it also comes complete with a cocktail recipe that you can make for each song. This was given to me by my good friends Steve Lawrence and Edie Gourmet. They were a delightful couple. Always willing to help out, always willing to lend a hand, always willing to burst out in song when it was inappropriate. Once, they burst into a rousing chorus of Side by Side at a Chang and Eng retrospective at the Getty. It brought the house down, as well as their careers. Cheers. Anyway, I encountered them many years ago at the Dresden Lounge in Los Angeles. I was in the restaurant and wouldn't even have known they were there, except that I heard Edie's trilling voice like a crow come from the lounge. Well, I immediately went to investigate, and there they were, filling in for Marty and Elaine, who were on sabbatical. You know, Steve still had those piercing eyes, and Edie still had that horrible wig. Anyway, it brought back such memories. I could have sat there all minute and listened to them. But I hadn't been invited by Hervé Villachez for a nightcap. And when one is invited by Hervé for a nightcap, one does not refuse. Cheers. So in honor of my good friends, the drink I'm going to make this week is called the Stephen Edie. Now, Steve and Edie were not only wonderful performers, but they had sass and moxie. So this week I'm going to go away from the usual gin-based cocktails that I make to make one with a bourbon base. I've chosen bourbon for Steve and white wine for Edie. Steve has the smokiness and depth of the bourbon, and Edie, well, she drank copious amounts of white wine. You're also going to need some elderflower liqueur, some cherry vanilla bitters, and the juice of a blood orange. Now, pour 2 ounces each of the bourbon and white wine into your shaker of ice. I'm using a Sauvignon Blanc. You could use a Bordeaux, it's up to you. Then 1 ounce of the elderflower liqueur, 5 to 7 drops of the cherry vanilla bitters, and the juice of half a blood orange. And since we are mixing it up, audience, this time we're not going to shake vigorously. We are going to stir. Yes, stir. Stir like your loins stir when you're watching Idris Elba come out of the water in a Speedo. Oh, cocktail, yes. And then you're going to want to strain it into your glass. Now, you want to strain it because you don't want any bits of blood orange to get into your glass, do you? No one likes to chew on bloody bits while they're drinking their cocktail. There we go. Wonderful. And then let's strain that out. Beautiful. And here we have the Stephen Edie, but you want to garnish it. And we are going to garnish it with this wonderful bit of blood orange skin. So take your lighter and just light that skin up a little bit, then drop it into your cocktail. It adds that smokiness that all of the bars and lounges had back in the day. And voila, I present the Stephen Edie. This goes out to Stephen Edie, consummate lounge performance if I've ever known some, and I've known some. In my eyes, indisposed, in disguises no one knows, hides the face, lies the snake, and the sun in my disgrace, boiling heat, summer stench, neath the black the sky looks dead. Call my name through the cream, and I'll hear you scream again. Black hole sun, won't you come and wash away the rain? Black hole sun, won't you come? Won't you come? Won't you come? You're walking along the street, or you're at a party, or else you're alone and then you suddenly dig. You're looking in someone's eyes, you suddenly realize that this could be the start of something big. You're lunching at 21, you're watching your diet, declining a Charlotte Russe, accepting a fig, I don't know what that means. When out of the clear blue sky, it's suddenly guy and guy. And this could be the start of something big, that's what he said. There's no controlling the unrolling of your fate, my friend. Who knows what's written in that magic book? But when a lover you discover at the gate, my friend, invite him in without a second look. But maybe a second look. I want to thank you all for joining me this week on Quarantini, Cocktails and Song with Mr. Drag. I'm Mr. Drag. Your drink this week was the Stephen Edie. Stay safe, stay healthy, practice your social distancing, and if you can donate to the Venmo in the credits, please do, so that you can keep me in these fine dresses and the cocktails flowing. Cheers!